Just thought I would tell you. Some of us have been up a long time because some of us went to the sunrise service up on Strodup Farms Road or wherever it is. It was beautiful. If you're on Facebook with me, you can see the pictures from that day. It was gorgeous. Our scripture reading for this morning comes from Luke 24, verses 1 through 12, and this is, of course, one of the Easter stories in Scripture. On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared, and they went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were wondering about this, suddenly two men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. In their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, he has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee? The Son of Man must be delivered over to the hands of sinners and be crucified, and on the third day be raised again." Then they remembered his words. When they came back from the tomb, they told all these things to the 11 and to all the others. And it was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the others with them who told this to the apostles. But they did not believe the women, because their words seemed to them like nonsense. Peter, however, got up and ran to the tomb. Bending over, he saw the strips of linen lying by themselves, and he went away, wondering to himself what had happened. Now, some of you are going, this doesn't sound like the Easter story that I've heard all my life. Where's the singing and the happiness? It's in Matthew and Mark and in the Gospel of John. This is from the Gospel of Luke, and it really comes with just one message, and that is, he is risen. One of the things, that happens on Easter is the sermons all start to run together. Do you know, I've been preaching Easter sermons for almost 30 years as an ordained pastor, and every Easter, I'm pretty sure I could find somebody who says, "I've heard that sermon before." It's probably true. You probably have heard parts of this sermon before. Because you see, Easter is a pretty simple event. I don't know if you've noticed that. There's not a lot of flash and dash to this. There's Holy Week, the entry into Jerusalem. There's Maundy, Thursday. There's Good Friday when they kill him on the cross. And then there's Saturday where they all go to their own place and they're kind of waiting and praying and trying to figure out what's going to happen. And then Luke tells us that on the first day of the week, on Sunday, these women got together and put together a burial package to go and finish the job that was started on Friday. Only to find out that they were there for the wrong job. Have you ever done that? You've gotten ready to go do something and you've gotten dressed appropriately and off you went and you got there and you found out that no, your job has changed. Well, that's what happened. That's that Easter Sunday. And it really comes down to some pretty simple questions. And so I want to ask some. And for those of you who don't know, I like people to raise their hands. So if you'd raise your right hand. I saw some of you do double checks. This is how you tell. This is what. Now, I might, and I never say raise your right hand. Usually I'll say how many of you, and then I'll raise my hand and you can raise your hand. And sometimes I ask questions and I expect you to answer. And I won't go on until somebody answers. The good news is, in the front row we have people who usually answer pretty well. But the more participation we get, the better. So it was very interesting. Somebody asked the question, what are we celebrating on Easter? And then he gave 3 choices. He said, are we celebrating bunnies and chocolate? How many of you got bunnies and chocolate today? How many of you were pretty excited about that? It's okay. Some of you aren't telling the truth. Sometimes on Easter we're celebrating spring and sweetness. How many of you are really glad that it's almost spring? And you're going, thank you, Jesus, for dying on the cross so we could have decent weather. Oh, that wasn't quite right? No. You know, I was the preacher this morning at the sunrise service. They gave me 10 minutes. I want you to know I was done in 8. We're not going to make it today, just so you know. But what was really funny was we got to talking about the weather, and I told one of the other pastors there, I said, Gordon, well, I want you to know I've been praying every day for the weather because you keep telling me how bad the weather has been for the last 20 years at the sunrise service. And I'm thinking, who's going to keep coming back if it's raining and cloudy and foggy and cold and miserable? He says, no, attendance has been dropping. And I'm going, really? I said, I've been praying. I prayed, and for those of you who don't know, we just went through a series where we talked about prayer and praying for some really specific things. And so I told Gordon, I said, Gordon, I've been praying that it won't rain Saturday or Sunday so we can have a great time. And Gordon says, man, God really listened to you. I said, yeah, but I wish I'd been more specific. Because we still didn't see the sunrise. I said, I didn't know that God didn't understand that meant lift the clouds so we could see the sun. So I got 2 slivers of orange in pictures. It's really pretty. But it was downhill from there, folks. It didn't rain. It wasn't freezing. And we had a great time. But what were we celebrating? We're celebrating Easter. And really, when we're celebrating, we're not celebrating bunnies and chocolate, even though we love them. We're not celebrating spring and sweetness, even though we like that. We're celebrating death and resurrection. An empty tomb. And the first question, the only question that really matters, and this is one that I'm not really expecting you to raise your hand and answer at this point, but I want you to think about it because it is the question of the day. Do you believe it? You see, because Easter's wonderful. You know, this is the second or biggest ham day of the year. I always thought that was kind of interesting, that we could celebrate a really Jewish holiday with ham. It's my favorite, actually. But, do you remember Jeremy? Oh, remember Jeremy, right? The empty egg, the empty tomb. Are we celebrating that?
Yes.
Do we believe that? You see, today we are celebrating the empty tomb, and if you're not sure whether or not you believe it, that's okay. I'm just going to tell you, you're sitting in a room full of people who do. And I've been telling them it kind of rubs off. So if you don't want to come to a conclusion, you may want to scoot over from the person sitting next to you. So let me ask another question. Do you know what you really celebrate? I'm going to give you 3 things. How many? 3 things. What are we celebrating? Well, the first thing we're going to celebrate, I'm going to tell you, is an empty life. How many of you live life going from one thing to the next, 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 to the next?
until you can't hardly stand it. Any of you? Any of you busy? And some of you still aren't telling the truth because I've seen your calendars. You ought to be the pastor trying to plan an event. We set a time. I get a phone call, you can't do it then. We're doing this, this, and this. We live lives that are full, and busy and complicated. I don't know if you've noticed, life has gotten more complicated every day, it seems. If you don't believe me, think about your insurance and choosing it. I have insurance. I found out I have great insurance if I'm in Texas. How helpful is that? Jesus shows us, I think, that the best way to be full is to be empty. If you really want to have everything that God has for you, you have to empty out the stuff from your life that isn't helpful to being with Jesus. It means, I think, that our real fulfillment starts when we start making our life open to Jesus. I don't know if you've ever read the Bible and you've read anything about Jesus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Read the Gospel of Mark. You're going to find out Jesus lived a very simple life. He didn't own anything. How many of you would like to clean out your closets just so you could own a decent closet? Jesus had no closet. Jesus, in fact, told somebody, he says, I don't even have a place to lay my head at night. How many have so many pillows on your bed you can't find your bed? There's one honest man in the whole room. I think his family recognizes it too. Jesus poured everything he had out for the people he loved, which includes you and I. He emptied himself on a cross, and he says, be like me. We need to empty our lives. The second thing that he tells us here is that there is an empty cross. I've seen some really beautiful crosses over the course of my life, and some of them are Catholic, and I'm not picking on the Catholics, but they all have Catholic crosses all have the body of Jesus on them. And I get it because it's symbolic, Jesus on the cross. But how many of you would look at my cross and go, oh, he might know something about Jesus? Now, it's kind of a trick question because I've known lots of people who wear crosses who know nothing about Jesus. But you could ask. But every time I look at the cross up here, or there, anytime that I look at a cross except on Good Friday celebrations, it is empty. They've taken him down, they've moved him, they've buried him. The empty cross tells us that we've been forgiven. That Jesus was beaten, broken, bruised, and hung. He took it all. It tells us that we can be free from our past and that we can have a great life in and through Jesus. And I don't know about you, but for me, that's really important. Because there's stuff in my past that I want to be free from. And I'm guessing that how many of you have a past? Just in case you don't know, you all have one. It was another trick question. We all have a past. And we all have stuff in our closets. People used to say, well, you ought to run for office. And we'd say, oh no, I have too many things, too many skeletons in my closet. Of course, now it doesn't really matter what your skeletons are. Oops, there went one of those eggs. It's empty. The empty cross gives us hope. It tells us that there's an opportunity and a future. And that's what Jeremiah told us way back in Jeremiah 29. He says, I have a future for you. And then we're celebrating an empty tomb. To make it really clear, the empty tomb tells us of the truth of the resurrection. Now, I know all of the arguments. You know, people don't just get up and walk out of graves. That never happened, right? Well, it happened once. And it actually happened twice, but Jesus was involved in both of them. And we need to remember and realize that, you know, an empty tomb tells us there can be a Savior. See, if the tomb isn't empty, you see, here's the deal. If the Romans and the Jewish leaders wanted to stop Christianity, wanted to stop Jesus, all they had to do was produce his body. And I've heard all of the arguments. They didn't know where they buried him. Now, come on. How many of you have ever been to a cemetery to watch somebody be buried? Would you remember where that grave is? The odds are good. Especially this grave when they put 16 armed guards in front of it. Think about that for a minute. We have one grave, 16 men guarding it. Roman soldiers, armed to the teeth, and the best argument Pilate and Herod could come up with is that the followers of Jesus snuck out Saturday morning, overpowered 16 fully armed, battle-weary soldiers, and stole his body. That's the best. You ought to hear some of the worst ones. So we have an empty life, an empty cross, and an empty tomb. Well, the world, my friends, wants us to believe that the world itself is empty. That there is no future. That there is no life beyond who and what we are. How many of you want to believe that? When we can look at the empty life, the empty cross, and the empty tomb, and know that that was for me and for you. And all we have to do is believe. I choose to believe. Amen. So I'm going to invite you to stand in a minute so we can sing our hymn of invitation. It's got a really good Easter title, He Lives. So go ahead and stand up. If you need to make a commitment to Jesus or would like to join the church, we invite you to do that by coming forward today as we sing this song. We're going to sing, I think there are 3 verses in this. We're going to sing the first and the last verse. So, and if that's not right, tell me what I need to do. But let's sing together, He Lives.